we really want to do is, let's see, I have to touch something. It's in progress.
Let's see.
I have to touch something. It's
No,
being
no,
recorded. I
just
have to walk around. I'm coming back.
At the bottom says got it.
Okay.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second, Susan? And I just want to say there's a good number of us, but not so many of us that we can't. If you have a question, just on Zoom and ask it. Feel free. Like, this is one of the beauties of this program, is that we can all talk to each other. And if you have an idea of something that you want to add, just on Zoom, wait for a moment of pause. Susan gives us one and ask it. So, yeah, I mean, unmute, sorry, don't unmute.
Yeah, don't on Zoom, unmute. Okay, Amy's still getting to know this. It's been a year. It's okay. All right.
What I want to say
Amy, is your mother there? Is your mother there with you?
She's
okay, I want you all, before we begin, to meet the person who is keeping me strong and making me healthy. Her name is Judy Glazer. She's a couple years older than me. She is in better shape than all of us. And she has a plant-based diet that she's eating that is inspiring to me and hopefully to others. Thank you, Judy. Wave your hand.
Your hand.
Judy. Okay. Now, and Judy is Amy's mother. So they have all this DNA together. It's a lot of energy coming out of that one little square. I can tell you that. Now, the next thing, you want to do, of course, and you don't have to do it right now, is to grease a pan. That I actually knew about before. And Frida, my wife, who is the sous chef, the camera person, and also my dresser, is here. And she said, tell them to butter the pan, because butter would be a better ingredient than it might be like greasing a cookie sheet, maybe with Crisco, or you were greasing a sheet for, roasting or baking salmon. So you've got your pan greased, and you might want to get a big pot, okay? And when I'm talking about pot, I'm not talking about weed or CBD. I'm talking about this big silver pot area. It is legal in all states. And inside this pot is something that I'm sure many of you have, which I love. And I also want to tell you that little handle of the steamer, for some reason, doesn't get hot. So after you steam, you can pull, it's going to be the sweet potatoes and the carrots out. Sometimes I just get a little wild to just dump the whole thing into the drainer. Others of you are probably more dainty. So I'm going to walk this back over to the stove. Okay. So those are kind of like beginning steps. One of the things I am really learning is in timing of things. And I still don't have it right. So if you don't have it right, that's fine. What are the main ingredients of Tzimmes? Okay. We asked, and some of you may have done it, some of you haven't. We will not be giving out grades. You'll be dicing sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are really hard to cut through. So if you're cutting through a sweet potato, be sure you have a sharp knife. Now I'm going to bring on Frida for just a moment of technical support about how do you get a knife that's sharp? I just go out and buy a new one, but Frida is much more conservative in her approach. Frida, this is Frida Smith, knife sharpener.
Hello. So Susan and Amy asked me to show you the best way if you're using one of these steels to sharpen a knife, and that is you're going to have it on an angle. You don't want to go straight onto it because that will dull your knife. So, but you do want your knife to be on an angle, so when it goes along the edge of the blade, it will trim off a little bit. And the opposite side, you do just by going to the back of the steel, and hopefully you can see that I have an angle I can't see the camera very well. Amy, can you see?
Let's
the
just
angle?
do it, Frida. Go ahead and sharpen
You're
that
good.
knife.
You're good. You're good. Frida.
Cool. If we bring our knives over,
you
will you do it for us?
And you can do it with your little knives.
Okay. You can also do it. You can also dance while you do it, but Frida's getting a knee replacement on Tuesday. So you'll have to come back next year for the dancing part. Hey, guess what this is? It doesn't fit me. Frida has bigger hands. This is what you use. In which hand would you use this?
The one that the knife is most likely to cut.
Yes. So if you want to keep from getting cut, do not use this in the cold outside, but you can go to some expensive store and buy, what do you call them? Protective gear. Okay. So just try to
put
keep
that on the hand that's not holding the knife.
right. So if I'm a right-handed person, it would go on my left hand. Okay. Let me just tell you, I never dreamed in my entire life that I would be holding this kind of a glove. Oh, okay. Now, what about these sweet potatoes? Once you have that sharp knife, then we asked you if you were doing this to quarter the sweet potatoes. So I have pre-quartered a lot of them. I think you can see them on your camera because that's what we do on these cooking shows. We really get our ingredients together before we meet the world. But I did leave a couple, and you could have them and cut them in strips, okay? And Frida just pointed to me to put on my glove. This is part of OSHA training for your kitchen. Okay, and then you cut them. Now, when they say dice or cube, you're saying to yourself, there's no way I could ever get them uniform. And you know what? You don't have to. That's not necessary. The main thing is not to lose any of your fingers while you're doing it. Okay. And I'm trying my best to do that. I don't know if any of you, others of you are cutting. If you're cutting, raise your hand so we get some kind of an idea if I'm doing this as a show or I'm doing this with you. Raise your hand if you're cutting, and Amy will take a look and tell me how many cutters we have here.
Oh, wait, yeah, Judy wants to say something.
Go ahead, Judy.
I just put a few of those sweet potatoes in the microwave for about a minute and a half. And then they're so much easier to cut.
Okay, you know what? Judy always has a good idea. I can tell you that right now. And while she is not open to the public at this time, she's my personal trainer. So if there's any energy in my voice or strength in my hand, I'm having a hard time. We're going to have to do exercises for my hand. But see, she's absolutely right. There's no reason you can't nuke this. And how long do you nuke it for, Judy?
A minute. I put about 2 sweet potatoes in the microwave. I don't think she can hear you.
A minute and a half.
About a minute and a half per.
Okay, you know what?
For 2 sweet potatoes. So wait, raise your
Okay.
hand again if you're cooking. I missed the count. So we have Kayla and
Okay,
Judy.
anything that can make that sweet potato softer. Okay,
And
now
Betty.
I am going to give the sweet potatoes I have cut to Frida, who's going to add them to the pile. Could you do that,
I
Frida?
have a
Thank you.
question.
Multi-talented assistant.
I have a question. Is the
Susan,
pot,
Sissy has a question.
chef, I have a question.
Yes.
Is the pot that you put on the stove, did you cover that with the steamer? Or is that uncovered?
It's about an inch and a half of water. You put the steamer inside, and I am so glad Sissy Block all the way from Dallas. Pardon?
Zoller.
Zoller.
Same thing.
Yes, Sissy Block Zoller, all the way from Dallas,
Is
Texas.
it covered? Is it
still
covered?
helping me out. I'm gonna turn that on. Not yet.
Oh, but
After-
when you're
after
heating it
they're
up, you don't
steaming
steam.
it,
Okay.
yes.
And Mom,
Right.
Chef, I
First
want you to
get
know
the
you have
water.
international
I-
viewers, that Benji and Leia are on this.
Hey, Benji and Leia, all the way from Jerusalem, Israel. Wow. That's just, my eyes are tearing up and there's no onions in. Oh my God, that's welcome. Shalom.
What
Boker
time is
tov.
it in Israel? What time is it?
I think it's about 7 o'clock, Sissy. Okay, now we're gonna get to an easy part because I'm really anxious to get to my favorite part. And where is a peeler? Okay, who doesn't know how to peel a carrot? I am taking off my glove. All right, what do they say? Taking off the glove. Gonna peel a carrot. All right. So you want to peel your carrots. You know, I figured out something yesterday. I don't think you have to wash carrots if you're peeling them. Because if you're peeling them, that cleans them right there. Now, they said something about dicing these into cubes. I don't even agree with that at all. I'm just going to do this. And the one thing I did learn about a knife is that you don't do it like that. You have to grip the entire thing. So it's a part of your arm. Okay, by the way, I'm sure Frida would be glad to sharpen anyone's knives in the metropolitan area, or you could send them to us by FedEx. And we could have it. She's laughing, which is good because sometimes she doesn't laugh at some of these things that I say. All right, now to my favorite part. Oh my God. I read the directions and I sometimes a little OCD about cooking. And it said 1/2 teaspoon of grated nutmeg. And I looked in my spice and there was a little jar, but it wasn't grated nutmeg. And I thought, I've never heard of this idea of grating nutmeg. And then I took that all the way forward and I thought, I'm going to buy a nutmeg grater. And then I came back again and thought, we probably have a grater. I don't need to buy a nutmeg grater. But I ordered these from Amazon.com. Now, I know people politically have different feelings about Amazon.com, but for purposes of whole nutmeg and wanting to get it without going out of your house, that is just incredible. And I don't think they were very expensive, like maybe $5 or something. Okay, I am completely enchanted. I am completely enchanted by the idea of grating nutmeg. I guess I could put my glove on, but I don't want to. Okay, Frida thinks you could grate it from the bottom and it goes up, but I'm not that confident. I have to grate it from the top. And it is just magnificent. Now, we have some extra whole nutmeg. Anybody in the metropolitan area who would like a whole nutmeg, and they're a limited offer, you let me know. But here's the thing. For those of you that ever celebrate Havdalah, this is Havdalah this morning. That smells better than anything from a jar. Can you see it? It's actually pretty too. So what did I learn about nutmeg that I wanted to share? Well, mostly it's grown in Indonesia. So I don't think anybody will be going there in the next week or so. It's also really very good. It's very healthy for you. And so it's something you might want to put on like eggnog if you like eggnog. Some people put it in smoothies. They say a little increase in your nutmeg increases your libido. Now, here's the problem. You know, generally I have a philosophy, less is more. You can't tell that by all of this stuff around here. But with nutmeg, don't go too far because it also can cause hallucinations and loss of muscle coordination. So if you're asking me how much is just right for today, a half a teaspoon. And I put it in one of these little glass containers. And I can tell you this. This is the nutmeg that was in it. Nothing can make you feel better about your cooking than to get these little glass bowls. And our friend Mark Utterback just the Clear Blue Sky gave us a whole set. So I love glass bowls. The other thing I love that I want to teach you about, don't let me forget the water's boiling, is this little scale that you can weigh things on. Look, it doesn't take up very much room. It's battery operated, and I used it to measure everything. Okay,
Hey,
I'm going to ask.
we're gonna, Susan, can Grandma Judy mention something about nutmeg?
And also I have an old.
As long as it is for, you know, ages over 13 or under 13, anybody. You want to put that in?
Well, I want to mention something. I use my old Weight Watcher scale, and it works fine too. But I was watching Rachel Ray cook the other day, and she was cooking some sauteing some Swiss chard, and she said with any greens that she adds some fresh nutmeg to the when she's cooking up some greens.
Why?
Well, that sounds like a great idea. If anybody else has any ideas about nutmeg, let us know. Or if you're commenting in the chat because you're a little shy or would rather have it in writing, so we keep it. Amy, if you want to read the chat, because I can't read
Sure,
that
let me read.
far
I
away.
have some chats, but they're not about nutmeg, but if it's okay, I'll be happy to read them.
Yeah, so
Okay.
while Amy's reading the chats, Frida is putting the squash and the carrots into the steamer. And the water had already boiled, and Sissy Zoller asked if it should be covered then. And yes, it should be covered. And they just need to cook until they're tender, okay? Because after all, they're gonna be baked in the oven for a long time too. And they're gonna get a little steam from orange juice, which is the liquid that's going to keep them moist. Go ahead, Amy.
All right, I'm going to go back a little bit and just say that somebody said, yep, softening the potatoes in the microwave works and helps. And then you can take your knives to the meat department at Schnucks to be sharpened overnight. And this is a deeper sharpening than you can get from a steel, which just puts a final edge on your knife. Who knew? And then somebody said, check cooksillustrated.com about understanding kitchen knives. And also you can soften butternut squash, which is another hard and healthy vegetable, by using the microwave. So those are all great tips. And Brussels sprouts too. But I have a question to Suzanne, who mentioned Schnucks. Do they charge for that, Suzanne? If you give them your knives to sharpen? I don't know if you're able to unmute.
Suzanne is someone I have swum with in a number of different pools in the metropolitan area. And she's also just a wonderful citizen of University City.
Anyway, Suzanne, if you can throw that into the chat, just curious if that's
right.
Surface.
Yeah, I was thinking about like walking into Schnuck, you know, with knives. They go into a
perfectly silent.
Wrap them in paper as you go in. They give you a long cardboard sleeve when they return them, and I just save those and take it back. And I assume they still do, but it was like 3 at a time they would do, and it was free. There are professional knife sharpeners. There's one down on the hill that my brother swears by, and he pays good money. Yeah. He pays good money to have his knives professionally sharpened, but the Schnucks for free, and it's fairly convenient.
And what counter do you go to?
The meat department.
Meat department. That makes sense. Thank you, Suzanne.
And Marion,
have a good swim today.
Marion just mentioned that knives can be sharpened at the kitchen conservatory also. So great ideas.
Very good. And I bet Marion can sharpen knives for us too. And she's just in the Central West End, just around the corner. So another thing that I always think about when I'm cooking, in fact, I'm almost fixated on it, is whatever, did you put a 10-minute timer? I did. Okay, thank you. She's great. Frida's on timers. She's very good on peppers. Okay. I always think, is it colorful? And I believe truly in my heart that if your food is colorful, one, it's aesthetically pleasing, but it's also healthy. And I have another dish that I found that included kale, cranberries, and acorn squash. And if you just put all those ingredients in the internet, you'll come up with a recipe. So this is going to be colorful. Why is it going to be colorful? It's going to be colorful because of the prunes. Okay. So I'm not going to show off that I know how to cut a prune in half. I think that's pretty simple. Although it does get your knife sticky, so your hands sticky. So you'll probably have to wash your hands. Or if you put the prunes on the scale, then the scale will be sticky. So these are all things, to keep in mind. But the prunes combined, with the bright orange of the carrots, the kind of paler orange of the sweet potato, it's really beautiful. I'm really thinking I might add some cranberries to this one, and I'll send you all a picture of it if you want, because I think it needs some red, but nobody's thought about it until me today. Okay, now the other thing is prunes. People say, well, what kind of prunes? Sunsweet prunes, okay? And they're good for you individually as a snack, better than chocolate, I hear. Oh, then
Amy has 365 prunes.
Oh, and the 365 come from Whole Food or? Okay, she's not going to tell us.
She's nodded her
Oh,
head.
she said.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
Whole Foods.
So look how pretty they look in that little glass bowl. Look how pretty the apricots look. They say for some reason the apricots have to be cut in quarters and the prunes in half. But the final product has that brilliant black coming out of it. But our final product, when we get done with it, not today, but we put it in a little bit later today, is going to have cranberries in it. And I'm really excited about that. And you could take that to the bank. Now,
Susan and Amy, I just want to say that I think Amy's, you said earlier that the what we're using wasn't necessarily Tu B'Shvat of fruits and vegetables, but indeed in Israel, dried fruits and nuts, big platters of that is the thing for Tu B'Shvat.
Oh,
We're right
good.
on with
Okay.
the apricot and prunes.
Thank you.
right.
We're spot on then, right? Thank you.
Yeah. And
Way to
thank you,
go,
Sissy.
Susan.
So also, usually when we're meeting in person, there's a Tu B'Shvat Seder at the end of a Shabbat, an Erev Shabbat service. And it's, I remember the first time I went and I was like, I thought I came here for a service. There must be a bar mitzvah over here. And so that's how I found about the Tu B'Shvat Seder, which is saying prayers about all the different fruits and stuff. So that was really a great thing. Another.
Wait, Susan, I'm going to interrupt with the chat for a minute. A couple of thoughts. One is that apricots can be cut with kitchen shears and it's less sticky. It's easier on your knives. And that's from Marion. And also, Kayla wanted to know how much cranberries would you add to the recipe? And would you add
Kitchen
fresh
shears.
cranberries or dried cranberries?
No, that's a great question. Cranberries really are a pump, and you could take the frozen ones and put them in your casserole dish, and they just cook. They cook up, and they're not too soggy. They're just beautiful.
You want to know how many, how much?
How much? I think how much is when you're painting a picture and you see the orange and you see the pale orange and you really can't see the apricot so well and you see the dark prunes, how much red do you want to put in your picture? And put as much as you can. Okay, now another spice that's going in is cinnamon. And it was about maybe 9 or 10 o'clock last night when Frida said, I wonder if we could grate cinnamon sticks. And I said, it's time for bed. So this is cinnamon from, your little jar. Here's the essential ground cinnamon. Okay. And it was supposed to be ground, not grated, or I might have gotten those cinnamon sticks out. Okay,
Betty's got her cinnamon.
yeah, Betty's got it. She's ready to go. All right. So what about honey? Wow. We have got a number of people in St. Louis who are beekeepers.
Betty's got her honey.
And one of the beekeepers in my neighborhood is Cindy Theory. We'll give her a little. She's also a real estate agent. If you're looking for a house or you want to sell a house, call Cindy. And Cindy brings us down honey, and we are so appreciative. We also have a member at CRC, Debbie, who's got, I think her bee huts, whatever you call them, beehives somewhere a little further away. And she also has wonderful cinnamon. Honey. They say to use a mild honey, and they say clover honey is a good idea. I am not an expert on honey, but who knows? Maybe the next year, maybe for Rosh Hashanah, we'll make a honey cake. You never know. You didn't hear me say that, Amy. Okay, now here's another little thing maybe we're actually going to do, and you're going to watch me do this, hopefully to success. This is a Granny Smith apple. Who knows why we would use a Granny Smith versus a, I'm going to have Frida peel this.
Just give me the knife. I don't need the.
Yeah,
Just
Frida
give me,
can peel an apple with a knife in her hand. Frida, come around here. I want you
no, just keep talking.
She
You
says
got
keep
people
talking.
cooking who need.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, I cannot peel an apple.
Allison is waiting, Kayla
Okay.
is waiting. They're trying to get their cooking
Okay.
done.
All right. So Frida's peeling an apple by hand without a glove and, without fumbling around, which is what I would be doing. Now, the next thing after she peels the apple is that we're going to core it. Frida can core by hand too. I'm not that clever. I have one of these little coring things. This
Here,
This-
you can finish.
This is a contribution to the gross national product, is buying cores rather than coring it yourself. Uh-oh, there the vegetables are steamed. Can you hear the timer? So I'm going to put the apple, let's see, try to put the apple some way where I core it. You have to press hard. I wonder if they sharpen quarters at Schnucks. Okay, done. Wow, look at that. Is that beautiful?
Lovely.
Cookie can be fun. Now, sometimes you have to give it a little last punch there, and you get the core. This is an apple core. You could still use that. You could put it in your garden, in your compost, give it to a bird. And you're going to take these apples, and they're going to be sliced. I have a smaller knife. Got this one at Kitchen Conservatory. I think they were having a sale at the time. Marion Eisen, who is on this call, probably among other people, could be actually a professional chef. And I think, Amy, we're going to be recruiting Marion. She's got a fractured patella right now. Wouldn't be a good day. But we're going to be recruiting her in the future because she can make just about everything. Okay? Now, so you've got the honey, you've got the apricots, and you're wondering, what do I do with all these things? Well, guess what? You're going to put them together in a big bowl. So I'm going to drain the carrots. I'm going to drain the carrots and the sweet potatoes now. By the way, I want to give a plug for my sister. My sister said she would have used yams. And Sandy, you want to tell them why?
Hello?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Sandy. Do you want to tell them why you would use yams?
Sandy, you need to unmute.
No, I just wasn't sure what she was using. I'm assuming yams might be too soft, possibly, the texture. I guess most recipes tell you to use sweet potatoes, not yams. That's all. No, I didn't.
Be right back.
No,
Well,
Susie
okay.
wasn't, Susie
I'm gonna
wasn't
give
sure
a
that,
little-
all right,
okay.
forget it.
Okay.
It's all right.
I was just going to tell you sort of how Susan got recruited to do this is that we had her and Frida over for Rosh Hashanah. And Susan brought this dish and we had a lot of guests that night. Most of them were in their 20s that weren't like real vegetable eaters, and they went crazy over her Tzimmes. In fact, my daughter still remembered it a year later. She was just like, oh, Tzimmes, I remember that from Rosh Hashanah. So when Susan said she would teach a class, we said, okay, it's got to be Tzimmes.
Okay, so now we've got everything ready to go. We're gonna put in the proofs.
Veronica's on.
Okay, hi Veronica. We've got somebody here from Seattle. Okay, welcome West Coast. And now we're gonna put in the apricots. See, this really isn't that hard. It's just a little time consuming. We're gonna put in the honey. And this honey is really wonderful. And it's just so nice knowing that it was like made locally by someone who really loves to cook, to garden. And so you know that it's made with love. And then we're going to put in the apples.
Don't forget the others.
Now the apples, of course, add a white to it. Pretty, do you want to get that? There's frozen cranberries in the freezer.
Sure.
Yeah, that was just, see, and I think, you know what, as you cook, you get a little more confidence about veering a little bit off, from the recipe. I have not had that confidence in the past. Well, at least not with cooking. Guess what this is? My favorite. It's my nutmeg. Oh. Remember, there'll be a limited number of whole nutmegs available for those of you. We could mail them, I guess. Now, then I'm going to put actually a little more nutmeg in than it's called for because I really do love it. Here it comes. I don't think you could ever have too much nutmeg. Okay, and then there's the orange juice. And for those of you that are worried about, the carbs and orange juice and the sugars and stuff like that, I did buy Simply Light orange juice. I got that at Straws. All right. Okay, what am I forgetting? Maybe a little salt. There's a half teaspoon, I believe, of salt. Okay. And then we're going to toss these cranberries. Can you hear them? I love the sound too.
Marbles.
Yeah, we actually have one more peck in there. Okay, then you're going to stir it all up because after all, we're getting into 40 minutes on this Zoom call. Oh, I'm so happy I thought about the cranberries. I can't tell you. Little things like this, during COVID can change your entire outlook on life. I'm gonna put a lot of cranberries in. There they go. You can see what a delicate cook I am. Okay, so you want to mix it up really well. And then you're going to be putting it into this buttered, it's at a 3-pound casserole. And I'm like, how am I going to figure out if this is 3 pounds? And it was too big for the scale. So I thought, oh, it's Pyrex. I bet it says something on the bottom. And guess what? It absolutely did say something on the bottom. Wow. Putting these cranberries in, I almost feel remiss that I didn't think about that sooner. Okay, and then this is where the strength training with Judy Glazer comes in handy. I'm able to lift this entire bowl with a single bound. All right. Oh my God. I think I'm going to have to write Joe Nathan and Martha House Schulman about this. So I get credit for when the one with the cranberries appears on the internet. And there is a lot here. Can you see it? Is that not like
Grandma
beautiful?
Susie. Grandma Susie.
Hi, Leah. We're cooking in St. Louis. I wish you were here.
What?
I know what Leah
Cooking a
likes.
pretend recipe.
You're pretend cooking?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Leah is my favorite youngest grandchild. She is just sensational. And you don't have to cover this either. Okay. We have a big surprise for you.
David is there too.
Hi, David. David's the one that gave us Leah. Thank you, David.
Why?
Okay, hang on. We have a big surprise for you. You think that there's nothing super sensational about this kitchen. Well, you're wrong, because while we were all talking, we actually had an express oven that made this Tzimmes, and I'm going to show it to you now. This is that exciting moment you've all been waiting for. And we have oven mitts from David and Leah Zoller. They could also be puppets, talk to each other. Hi, Amy. How did you ever get me to do this? Can I put that straight on the time?
I think so.
Can you move that, Phil? Okay. If you have to take medication before getting too excited, now's the time to do it. All right. Think what's up there.
Oh, that looks nice.
Voila. We have Tzimmes. Let's see, move all these things away. Oh, get the centerpiece. Magnifico. Who is within driving distance? Come over right now while it's warm. So that's Tzimmes. Thank you for joining CRC Cooks today. I'll open it and send it back to Amy. No, I haven't quit my day job. Thanks to all of you. Sending love to my friends, my relatives, to those I don't know and now know. And feel free to call me at any time. Bye-bye.
Oh, Susan, don't go away. So we're gonna go on gallery view. And let's talk for a minute. First of all, did any of you know that you were not only gonna watch a cooking show, but also a comedy act?
Those of us who knew Susan.
Those of you who knew Susan. So let's go on gallery. And I have some questions for the group, and I know you probably have some questions for Susan. So let's, and go ahead, feel free to unmute so we can all chat with each other. So hold on, I'm gonna go to gallery and.
I have a question.
Okay, so feel free to unmute and ask your questions, and then maybe remute after you ask them so that we can hear each other.
The one Tzimmes that I've had before was more blended, like mashed. And I wonder if this is something you would do with this, or if you want this to stay nice and chunky.
Well, you know, what do they say? To each their own, but I like texture, and the different texture you get from the apricot and the prune and now the cranberries, which aren't in this one, but are in the other one. I like that. I like that whole feel. And you'll see as you cook it, it's also sort of, you know, brewing in the orange juice. And I forgot to say, you have to toss it, stir it every 15 minutes or so to keep, you know, the juice and keep everything so moist. We had it last night, actually, with some sliced turkey, and it was great. But no, you know, you can put anything in a blender, as you know.
Mash it with a potato.
Or you could, Frida, of course, being a person who loves a lot of activity, says you could mash it with a potato masher, which is something I would never do. Okay, now, and by the way, your questions can't start with, a friend wants to know. They have to be directly from you. What other questions do we have, Amy?
About the carrots.
Susan, did you steam the carrots or no? And the day-
Yes, we steamed the carrots. Yesterday, when I made the other one, I steamed the carrots separately because I thought if you put all of it in the pot, they all wouldn't get steamed. And I thought about that and I thought, they'll all get steamed. Don't be worried about that.
So we steam them together.
We steamed them together in a big pot, not a saucepan, but one of those really
The
pretty.
big pot that you showed.
Yeah,
them.
shiny pots. Maybe
How
not
long-
as deep as a stock pot, but bigger than a saucepan.
So Betty, you have a question?
Yeah, Betty's catching up here, but I'm gonna be ready in a minute. How long does it take to steam them? If I put the ball in the big pot and the water is boiling, how long do I leave it there?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, I got it.
But Betty, I don't know why you're making it when we're delivering it. Okay.
I don't know either, but I'm almost there.
I actually once saw Betty make a steak like this. She put it in a pan, went upstairs, she put, the burner on, put it in a pan, went upstairs, took a shower, came back, turned it over, and it was done.
Yes, well, I think that I just didn't have my real calling. I think this might be it. A few years ago, I had an ancestry thing, and it said in the recipe, this is an Ashkenazi Jewish recipe, and my ancestry came back with 1% Ashkenazi Jew. So I think I was made for this recipe.
Well, I would say, having known Betty for 50 years, she has made a Tzimmes about just about everything. So this would be, to call this Betty's Tzimmes, that would be a best-selling title.
I wonder from the group, this is a side dish. So what would you serve with this? The people in this group, like what have you traditionally served with it? Or what do you think would be good with it? I know some people put brisket in it or serve it with brisket, but any other suggestions?
I think the
Jan?
turkey sounded perfect.
Jan is talking, but she's muted.
We need to unmute Jan.
Remember that Tzimmes was originally something that was put in the oven the night before, and that's where they'd put the piece of meat in with it. It was a low oven for overnight, so they had something for Shabbat.
So Sissy could tell us about that.
This is really a modern Tzimmes. This is not the traditional one. Now, I've never made the traditional one, but yes.
Sissy, do you ever use this for cholent?
So I think the only overnight recipe that we make is this crazy French roast thing that my friend in LA taught us. that actually does exactly that like leave it on 200 overnight, and it's crazy because your house smells like meat. But I think it'd be awesome to do with Tzimmes. That sounds awesome.
Well, I like salmon with anything. So, and I like the colors. You have the pink and the salmon, and then I would want to have something green with it. I would want to have either some kind of wilted kale or asparagus is a really not only pretty in terms of the color, but it's a different shape. So you have the length of the asparagus, you could have the kind of rectangle of the salmon, and you have all these little dicey chunky things in the Tzimmes. So to me, I like to sort of paint my table. Who else have we got?
Marion has something.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. I think that Tzimmes, Suzanne Schumer said was correct. This Tzimmes is a modern Tzimmes, and I think you can use it with a salad and any protein that you like on the side, fish, meat, for vegetarians, a nice salad with the grains and things like that, with any kind of grain that you like, your favorite grain. I think would be great, because it's really no different than a roasted vegetable, except the way it's cooked. It's braised, it's in the oven. But if you think of it in terms of how you would use butternut squash or any other roasted vegetable, that's how you can use this. And actually, because it's not too greasy, you can really eat it any time of the day. And as Susan has made it with the cranberries, which give it a little tartness, it contrasts with the sweetness of the other vegetables and the honey. I think you can almost have it as a dessert. So I think it's really a very multi-use kind of dish.
So, one of the things about cooking that I have found, being in the profession that I'm in, or I'm usually walking around thinking about cases, is it is a great diversion from the intensity. Maybe sometimes it gets intense too, but at least it's a different intensity. And so that's when I would encourage you to have fun with it and think about how you would want to paint this. I discovered recently that they make a baked, pre-roasted, kind of tangy, not spicy hot tofu. And I think I like what Marion is saying, because that would be a nice green with a green salad, yet you would have the protein from the tofu. And then I think, it wouldn't hurt for those of us that aren't doing dairy free to maybe have some ice cream and chocolate sauce as dessert.
So Judy has something to say.
Or berries.
So Judy has something to add.
I took the carrot peelings and the sweet potato peelings, and I had an onion around, and I had tops from my celery that I had in the house, and I threw them in a pot with some water, and I'm making some vegetable broth.
Well, there's one other thing I did. I wanted to show you.
Oh, and I had some wilted tops from the.
So for
green
some
onion.
reason, I decided to buy these carrots that already have the tops. And I'm presuming that's because they're fresher. Is that right?
I don't know, but I would put them in the pot.
So anything is fair game if you're at Judy's house. Don't walk too slowly. You might end up in the pot. Anyhow, I think the 50 minutes is over. I appreciate everybody being here. We wanted to end just with a little bit of a pitch. We're not asking you to contribute to the capital campaign of CRC, although if you really want to, you can. But what we're really asking you to think about are those people who aren't having fun this morning, and those people in our community, including elderly, children, and people of other ethnicities and other colors that are hungry. And I would just be so honored if any of you would make a donation to the local Jewish food pantry, and or just if you've got some cans in your pantry, we always have too much. You buy it, you think you're going to use it, you don't use it. Gather up your cans, and we can pick them up from your home and take them to the food pantry if you want. But let's kind of share the fare and let everybody, benefit from good nutrition, because really that's all part of health equity, which is something I'm all about. Okay, are we going to cut off?
Thank you, Susan, so much. And I also wanted to thank everybody for joining us and sharing your ideas and thoughts. Happy Tu B'Shvat. And please, send us photos of your Tzimmes if you make it, or stories about sharing it. And also, if any of you have either something you want us to demonstrate through CRC Cooks, like a dish that you've really been wanting to learn to make, please email me. And if you would like to, it's hard to follow Susan, I know, but we don't expect a comedy routine every time. But if you would be willing to teach us something that you like to make, we'd love it. And you don't have to live in St. Louis. You don't even, we'd love to have somebody come from Jerusalem and share something. Anyway, so send me an email. And
finally, credit to Amy Gage for being all the things I said at the beginning: instigator, motivator, bully, producer, director,
Thank you.
and spirit. And you know what? She came by it naturally. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye. Good job, Mom.
Bye, honey. I'll talk to Leah later.
Bye, Pineapple Mom.
Sissy, don't
Bye,
get up.
Sissy.
Sissy,
Bye,
don't
Marianne.
you know what it was like to grow up.
Get some
Susan
good
is
breakfast.
An adventure. Leah, come here.
Leah.
Come say bye.
Let's meet Leah.
Here, come here. Climb up.
Oh,
Bye, Leah. I
Bye,
love
Leah.
you. Bye, honey. I love you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good day. Have
Bye.
fun.
Bye,
Bye,
bye.
everybody.
Nice
Thanks for
to meet
being
you,
here.
everybody.
Thank
Next
you.
year
Okay,
in
press the button.
person.